Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steve Kerr to step down as USA men's basketball head coach after delivering gold at Paris Olympics. Steve Kerr might have just won his last gold medal for Team USA at the Paris Olympics. Reporter Mark Stein has revealed that the Golden State Warriors head coach's time with the national team is over, with possible replacements already lined up to handle the reins. According to the reports, USA Basketball, led by managing director Grant Hill, is considering two of Kerr's assistants, Eric Spoelstra and Tyronn Lue, as potential replacements. Kerr himself was an assistant to the last national team coach San Antonio Spurs Greg Popovich at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Steve Kerr is not expected to continue as USA Basketball men's head coach after coaching in the Olympics and last summer's World Cup, and serving as an assistant to Greg Popovich at the 2019 World Cup and the Tokyo Olympics contested in 2021. Mark Stein reported on X. The four-time NBA winning coach had earlier given hints about stepping down from the role after the Olympics. He would be glad to be leading on a high note in what seemed like a redemption tournament after he suffered a disappointing fourth-place finish in the last FBA World Cup tournament. However, his benching of Boston Celtics NBA winner and star player Jason Tatum may end up hurting his final moments with the national team. He was heavily criticized by legends and fans alike for what was seen as an unfair and unjust decision to limit his minutes on the court as Coach Kerr prepares to bow out from his role as coach. New York Knicks-led Carmelo Anthony has joined a million voices to speak up against how he handled the playing minutes of Jason Tatum. His major concern, as expressed on his podcast 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, was centered on the poor communication between both parties. Carmelo Anthony said on his podcast, "I understand why Jason Tatum may have not played. I don't agree with how they went about it. I'm cool with you saying he's not going to play. Just be honest. This is where we have a lack of communication." Carmelo Anthony on 7p.mjt was benched for 2 games as he saw the second fewest minutes, 71 minutes, throughout the US run to retain their crown at Paris. Although it was expected that he wouldn't feature as much as he did for the Caesars, he wasn't expected to dislodge either LeBron James or Steph Curry from the starting 5. However, with the departure of Coach Kerr and the retirement of King James, Tatum is expected to transition to the team's leader if he makes himself available for selection. JT will have to shift his focus to the upcoming season as he aims to help the defending champions win title number 20. Warriors coach speaks at Democratic Convention 1 week after leading Team USA to a gold medal. At the Olympics, Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr returned to his old stomping grounds in Chicago, hoping to help another Bay Area star to a win in November. Also, he did the night. Donald Trump may shoot back with criticism of the failing Golden State Warriors and a very unfair, very nasty night celebration, likely with a reference to sleepy Joe Biden, but that's a risk Kerr was willing to run. Kerr has been a frequent critic of Republican nominee Donald Trump over the years. Notably, the Warriors never visited Trump's White House after winning NBA titles in 2017 and 2018, though the then president later withdrew the invitation after Steph Curry said he wouldn't go. Plus, Democratic nominee Kamala Harris is a native of Oakland and a fan of the Dubs, so it's not a complete surprise Kerr would give a speech. He came on stage to the sounds of Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project, the same music used to introduce the starting lineups of the Chicago Bulls during their run of 6 championships in the 1990s. K was P. Out of that run for the final 3 playing home games at the same United Center in the 2024 DNC. To be fair, Kerr didn't start a single game in those 3 seasons, but it's an iconic intro even if he never got introduced to that soundtrack. Before we get into the speech, I want to apologize to Boston Celtics fans. Despite his 3 straight first-team All-NBA selections, an NBA title in June and an appearance on the NBA 2K2, Kerr didn't mention Jason Tatum a single time during his remarks. Clearly that's no way to treat an athlete of his caliber, but perhaps it was because Kerr wasn't sure how Tatum feels about single-payer healthcare or abortion rights. Kerr began his speech explaining why he'd taken the unusual step of speaking at a political convention. "I believe in a certain kind of leadership," Kerr told delegates. "I believe that leaders must display dignity. I believe that leaders must tell the truth. I believe that leaders should be able to laugh at themselves. I believe leaders must care for and love the people there." Why, our leading hair added that he thought both Harris and Tim Walz had those qualities, but he did have some criticism of Walz, a former high school football coach. Way too much reliance on the blitz in 199 against Mano East. He needled for the most part. Kerr has displayed dignity, has laughed at himself and cared for his players, though he may not have been completely truthful a few times when reporters asked him if he saw Draymond Green punch or choke opponents. It's unusual for athletes to speak at party conventions, though recently it's been far more common at the Republican conventions. While Hall of Famer Bill Bradley delivered the keynote address at the 1992 Democratic Convention, the RNC has had more representatives from the world of sports. The 2012 RNC included Olympic athletes Derek Park, Kim R.H. and Mike Huron. The 2008 RNC included former Washington football coach Joe Gibbs endorsing John McCain, as did that year's Olympic gold medalist in the decathlon Brian Clay. For local athletes, 49ers legend Steve Young read an invocation at the 2000 Republic Convention, which also featured a speech from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Sure, The Rock competed in an imaginary sport, but I would never tell him to his face that he wasn't an athlete. Wrestler Hulk Hogan also spoke at this year's RNC, which could create a huge hurdle for Harris's efforts to secure Hulkamaniac vote. Her preemptively addressed the idea that he was out of place as an NBA coach, saying, "I can see the shut up and whistle tweets fired off as we speak," but said that he thought the upcoming election was too important for him to remain silent. It was appropriate that Kerr appeared on a night that also featured 76-year-old Hillary Clinton, 73-year-old First Lady Jill Biden and 81-year-old President Joe Biden, because Kerr loves to lean on veterans in big moments. NBA Insider reveals why talk of LeBron James' trade to Warriors was squashed in a different world. LeBron James may have been a Golden State Warrior, according to a report from Longtime NBA insider Mark Stein. The Lakers and Warriors were engaged in tentative talks surrounding a trade for the 20-time All-Star. The blockbuster move would have united James and Steph Curry long before the duo teamed up to win Olympic gold in Paris, but according to Stein, James' agent and close friend Rich Paul squashed the talks before they could even get off the ground. It is believed that the Lakers would have reluctantly entertained trade conversations with the Warriors before last February's trade deadline if James wanted them to seriously engage Golden State on a potential deal. Stein wrote in his Substack, yet league sources say that the reported talks between the teams at the time never got that far, in large part because James' agent Rich Paul was vehemently opposed to the idea of LeBron James swapping Southern California for Northern California. James moving north would have been massive news, as it would have given the Warriors trio of Curry, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green one more run at the title together. As it stands, Thompson now plays for D. LeBron James's return into La for the 20,124-2 season. Sources say Rich Paul implored both teams to scrap the concept largely because he wanted to insulate James from potential backlash over switching teams for the fourth time in his career. Stein wrote James famously left Cleveland to take his talents to South Beach in Miami for a team-up with Dwayne Wade and Chris B, where he won multiple NBA titles. He eventually returned and led the Cavs to a title in 2016 but left his home state again for the Lakers in 2018. And you fan, what do you think of the situation of LeBron James? Leave your opinion in the comments.